New day, new county, let's go! And we landed on Jackson. Jackson County. Named for Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson was a son of a... I am not a fan of President Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, he... Andrew Jackson was a very complicated individual who had a deep hatred of many people who were not of the same race that he was, to put it mildly. He was not a friend to Native Americans. He was not a friend to He was not a friend of African Americans. He was a slaveholder, and he was a president who has a lot of problems and a lot of broken treaties and broken promises that I highly disagree with. Jackson County, which is named after him, was actually at one point in time part of a bigger Native American reservation that Andrew Jackson sent Native Americans to forcibly against their will. And then when the United States did it again, when we were establishing Kansas, they moved them off the reservation that Andrew Jackson promised would be theirs till the end of time, which was not true. This brings up a further complication in talking about Kansas history. And I shouldn't say complication as in it makes things complicated. It's just we got to talk about stuff. If we look at this map, we see a lot of depictions of counties that are named after Native American tribes. And those depictions are at best outdated. Now, this is to say that we have new modern sensibilities. We have finally decided to respect the indigenous peoples of the United States. So there's that. But I am going to tell you one of my favorite Andrew Jackson stories because while I don't like Andrew Jackson, he is still an interesting guy. One of the coolest things about him was at one point in time, he was attending an exposition in Tennessee, and it was raining that day, and there was a gentleman who had 2 pistols who had every intention of unaliving Andrew Jackson. This guy walks up to Andrew Jackson, pulls out one of his pistols, points it at him, says, "Die," pulls the trigger, and because it was raining, the trigger doesn't go off. He grabs another pistol, tries to unalive the sitting president of the United States again, because this is the days before Secret Service was actually in charge of looking after the president, and they hadn't even been created yet. But he pulls the trigger, it doesn't go off because it had been raining that day, and Andrew Jackson proceeds to beat the living tar out of this person with his hickory stick, because they called him Old Hickory and he carried a hickory stick. He had to be pulled off by Davy Crockett and 3 other people who were sitting congressmen at the time, and he almost unalives the guy who tried to unalive him. So that's kind of cool about him, even though I don't like him. All right, next one.